Hello everybody, my name is Mike Rytzak and I represent company Tracked Lifts Inc. from Long Island, Syosset, New York. And I'm here to present a range of tracked aerial lifts that are outrigger stabilized. We used to call them spider lifts, but that has become a dirty, illegal word. So I might be violating a court order by using it. Nevertheless, we call them tracked lifts for the obvious reason that the mode of propulsion is a tracked undercarriage. We carry two brands, both from Europe. The first here, which is an ultra-compact range platform basket of Italy. We call it an ultra-compact range because these machines will fit through a standard 32-inch wide 6 foot 7 foot high door. The range starts at 40 foot working height and goes through 50 feet all the way to 60 foot working height. The machine is meant for indoor and outdoor operation. Outdoor operation is performed by a Honda gasoline engine with the newest emission tier. And indoor operations are performed by 110 volt electric motor that draws 19 amps. As everybody knows, 20 amps is a standard capacity of circuitry throughout the United States, thus making it a machine that can be used almost at any facility. The machine is made out of structural steel, and that's a deliberate choice of our manufacturer. They stayed away from aluminum which might have a fatigue life. The machines are precision built at the factory in northern Italy. Unique thing about these machines in general, they bring in three concepts together. First of these concepts is narrow access. A concept that can be found among many other pieces of equipment, such as so-called atrium lifts or scissor lifts. They will achieve that. Nevertheless, what tracked lifts achieve also is extremely low impact. That's the second major characteristic of this type of equipment. The tracked undercarriage combined with the very light weight of these machines ensures ground pressure of an average person, ground pressure of a human foot basically, in ranges between 5 and 10 pounds per square inch. That allows traversing over delicate surfaces, indoor and outdoor, especially turf, delicate indoor surfaces, wood parquet, polished marble, and just about everything in between. The tracked undercarriage is something that's found occasionally on some of the extremely heavy equipment, but never combined with narrow access. So we have two characteristics that, again, differentiate this product from absolutely everything else. Narrow access and extremely low impact to the surface, work surface. The third absolutely unique characteristic of this type of equipment is ability to drive it, traverse it over extremely inclined, varied in grade terrain. It could be a severe uphill, it could be a severe downhill, and it could be a side hill application, something that absolutely no other aerial lifts can do. Not only these machines can be traversed over extremely varied terrain, they can be deployed there. This characteristic is only shared by outrigger deployed atrium lifts, but those atrium lifts, conventional wheeled atrium lifts, do not have the capability to go uphill over severely varied terrains, upslope, downslope, side slope. So this package enables an aerial lift, in this case of up to 60 feet, and with our other range up to 122 feet, to go through an extremely narrow opening over a very delicate surface that is sloped. It could be a staircase uphill, a hill uphill, downhill, and deploy. And this is an extremely unique package. The concept of these three characteristics makes it an extremely useful tool to perform a variety of extremely challenging aerial tasks. One of the very common but not necessarily intended uses of this equipment is tree care. If you think about it, a modern tree contractor is faced with a lot of very challenging situations, such as backyards, courtyards of municipal buildings, and just residential properties that simply possess all the challenges where equipment like that excels. Intended use of this equipment is interior and exterior maintenance. Be it facade refinishing, window washing, light bulb change, seasonal decoration, or just about anything in between that requires aerial application with all the previously mentioned challenges of narrow access, delicate surfaces, and severe grade of the work area. Machines like that also have one unique characteristic, which is not shared by other aerial equipment. They are extremely lightweight. All of our machines, starting from the 40-foot machine all the way to the 122-footer, can be transported behind a pickup truck. With most conventional wheeled or atrium machines, once you go past 40-foot, 50-foot range, you have to deploy a heavy-duty 18-wheeler to transport to the work site. This characteristic, low weight, being able to be transported behind a lightweight pickup truck, puts aerial equipment of such serious work envelope in the hands of just about any contractor that owns a van, heavy-duty SUV or pickup truck. And from what I understand, that might be 95% of contractors that deal with heights. So this is another extremely unique concept with lightweight tracked, outrigger stabilized equipment. Equipment that we distribute, the brands that we distribute, share another unique characteristic, which is not shared by our competitors, and that is minimal reliance on electronics. The electronic interface is absolutely minimal. Everything else, the aerial operations, are done in this case by simple, old-fashioned live hydraulics, where the operator engages hydraulic levers that activate hydraulic functions. Nevertheless, safety mandated by all the regulations and demanded by end client is achieved by simple electromechanical limit switches. These detect ground pressure, detect the position of the outrigger. Outriggers detect the position of the boom and the maximum allowable work moment. These machines, again, do not require a laptop to diagnose a problem, require a mechanic with basic hydraulic skills to diagnose and repair problems. A lot of the components on these machines, most of them are actually relatively generic and commonly available in the United States. which makes, again, distribution throughout the United States something that's viable, something that's practical. Machines have a nearly indefinite life expectancy. Every pivot point does have a grease fitting. The machines being made out of high-strength structural steel do not have a fatigue life. They have an indefinite fatigue life. Machines are extremely simple to operate. They have certain safeties built in that will prevent unsafe deployment. For example, if all 4 outriggers do not touch the ground and detect the ground pressure, the boom will not deploy. If the machine is deployed but not within 2 degrees of being level, the boom again will not deploy. If, for example, the operator has deployed the boom, you no longer can manipulate the outriggers because that can lead to the machine's collapse. So these safeties are achieved with an absolute minimal dependence on solid-state circuitry. And basically the machine's safe operation relies on series of relays. In this case, the relays are integrated. In case of our other machines, numerous relays are separated into individual functions. Relays are responsible for each individual function. If a relay burns out, you simply replace a relay and you're back to work. The diagnostic of our equipment does not require a laptop or replacement of circuit boards at all. All of our machines are available with biodegradable, vegetable-based hydraulic oil, which prevents a lot of environmental cleanup issues should there be a spill. It's the nature of hydraulic equipment that there will be hose failures, equipment failures leading to leakage of oil. But again, our equipment, in this case, this is optional, but with our other brand, which you will be present later, is standard. Another great benefit of vegetable-based hydraulic oil is the fact that it's a very low viscosity oil that performs extremely well during cold winters. There are 3 modes of operating this machine, this machine and our other brands. All 3 redundant hydraulic systems have their own independent pump. The 2 primary operating systems are the Honda gasoline engine, which powers its own pump, hydraulic pump. That's mostly for outdoor use. For indoor use, as I mentioned, there is a 110-volt, 19-amp motor. Why I'm mentioning it again, that is the fact that both of these engines power their own pump, making them redundant and independent. Many other equipment uses the same hydraulic pump, but this is a fully redundant 2 primary operating system machine. The Tetrary system, it's an emergency manual lowering system. But again, it operates on its own hydraulic power, totally unrelated to everything else. So we have, again, 3 fully independent, redundant hydraulic systems on this machine. As with most of aerial equipment, aerial equipment like that can be operated from within the basket or from the ground. That allows for quick recovery should the operator become disabled during an emergency situation or with an unattended or with operation of the machine without an operator in the basket. I believe that just about covers the technical specifications of our machines. The details of this machine are available in our brochures, which I'll distribute in a moment. Right now, Guy, am I allowed to demonstrate the operation of the machine? I will start the engine. I will show the deployment. Our brands are manually leveled. The outriggers are manually leveled. We deliberately stay away from automatic leveling. Not only it's an electronic complication, but in extreme deployment gradient, extreme deployment angle, automatic leveling systems become very problematic and unreliable. That's why we absolutely deliberately offer manual deployment. We do offer optional automatic deployment, but we deter clients from acquiring them. Again, I will deploy the machine. I will show the boom operation within the limited confines of this tent. Then I will demonstrate another unique feature of this machine, and this is a variable height, variable width. Right now, the machine is in its most stable configuration. It's 42 inches wide, but a 42-inch machine will not live to my claim of being able to go through a 31-inch wide, 6-foot, 7-inch door. To achieve an ultra-narrow configuration, three things will happen. This undercarriage will fold, and I will demonstrate how it happens. It will fold in this direction, making the machine 31 inches wide. This will also bring the machine down to the height of 6 feet 3 inches. Additionally, we will disconnect these outrigger pads, which make the machine slightly wider than that required 31-inch. And I will demonstrate the ease of disconnecting a two-man basket, which also will not pass through a 32-inch door. Should a client decide to use a one-man basket, removing it will not be necessary for passage through a narrow door. I will commence my operations, my demonstration. I will use the gasoline power. There was a slight problem yesterday with the power supply. Somehow, I believe it's 15 amps only. Our machine requires a little bit more than that. Beeping, am I disconnected? Beeping is normal. It just means that the machine is not fully stabilized and not ready to work. This was the manual deployment. As everybody has seen, it took me just a few seconds to perfectly level the machine. Now, everybody probably observed the major components of the boom. First of them being lower boom, which articulates about 80 degrees. Then we have the upper telescopic boom, composed of 2 telescopic sections, and also a movable jib. This actual machine does not have a rotating basket, but the rotating basket is available. This machine achieves 52.5 foot working height to the basket floor. How the working height is calculated, that depends on a standard. We call it a 60 foot because we are very optimistic, but editors might call it 59 footer. This is a relatively common design among many other machines of similar type. But where our brand stands out is that enormous side reach that is not achieved by any other tracked, outrigger stabilized, no longer called a spider lift. And as everybody can see, the machine achieves the side reach by the enormous telescopic extension of the boom, leaving the knuckle at a relatively low height, which avails itself to very confined surroundings. It can be opened in areas with low ceiling. The machine could be deployed at that corner of the tent with minimal height ceiling and still get high up. So it leaves a lot of flexibility. And the working height of this machine, which is also unique from a lot of other similar equipment, does not change with the workload. The maximum working height is the same with a one-man operation or maximum two-man operation. The jib stays functional. Many of our competitive equipment provided by our competitors has a jib that is being disabled by two-man operation. One more feature of this machine is if there is a source of 110, once you plug it into 110 volts, you do have an outlet in the basket, a 15 amp basket, source of 15 amps in 110 volts, 15 amps in the basket. Additionally, our machine has 2 hoses. They look totally like the standard hydraulic hose with 3000 psi burst. Unfortunately, their inlets are on the other side, but they run through the boom. Should the end user put quick disconnects of their choosing, they can run air, water, or hydraulics to the basket. I've heard proposals for running beer also to the tap. We'll reverse the boom operation and I will fold. Once that's achieved, I will demonstrate reconfiguring the machine to fit through a 32-inch, 6-foot, 6-inch door. Just as a point of demonstration, I'd like to show everybody that the outriggers cannot be operated with any part of the boom being deployed. No matter what I do to the outrigger levers, nothing is happening. Once the jib has reached its cradle, now I have control of the ground components, the drive track and the outriggers, and vice versa. Once these are lifted, the boom is fully disabled. That's good. Now I have transformed the machine into a machine that is 31 inches wide, 6 feet 3 inches tall. The machine right now will fit through a single standard door. Took me just a few minutes. It's easy to do. The basket is light enough to be picked up by a single person. It does have 2 wheels, which allow easy rolling it from point A to point B. In the same fashion, a single main basket can be installed in a matter of seconds. There is a single feature I'd like to mention also. There is a roller at the lowest point of the machine. When the machine climbs a severe uphill, such as a staircase, the machine will tip back. So quite possibly this lowest point will hit the ground. To avoid damage to a delicate surface and ease with the transition from level to uphill driving, this roller will roll and prevent, again, damage to the delicate surface. And this more or less will conclude my presentation. I invite any questions. Brochures are available on the side there for anybody interested.
When was this machine introduced?
This machine has been designed in 2006, and we brought it to the US market in early 2008. The machine conforms to ANSI and also Canadian safety standards. It's certified to be sold in Canada. As everybody knows in this industry, Canadians have some of the stringent, most demanding safety certification procedures. And this machine has lived through it, which is amazing in itself.
And this machine is standard as we see it here?
This is a very much standard piece of equipment. Very few options are really offered or needed. We can offer white rubber tracks, which are advantageous when machine is driven over light-colored, let's say, concrete surfaces. A black track will leave a scuff mark. White track will not. Again, the second option would be a biodegradable oil at a minimal cost, and also larger outrigger pads. We prefer to sell these machines with smaller outrigger pads because the ground pressure under the outrigger pad can be easily distributed by a plywood or outrigger pad. But this smaller outrigger pad will ensure deployment in the narrowest possible confined space. Wider outrigger pads require larger setup area.
This machine, as it sits, is approximately weighs how much approximately?
$75,000.
75,000. How much does it weigh?
Oh, I'm sorry. It weighs 5,000 pounds. The same machine can be built in a lighter version by removal of these two counterweights. The sole purpose of these two counterweights with that 600 pounds to the weight of the machine is to allow this incredible 31-foot side reach. If a client has a requirement for a lighter machine, we can remove these counterweights, but the side reach will be shortened by 4 feet or some 12%. But again, if there is a requirement for a lighter machine, there is a lighter version of this machine. An identically built machine can come with a 50-foot boom. Externally would look identical. The only difference would be single telescopic section versus 2 telescopic sections. Another also interesting thing about this machine is the fact that it can be craned. These here allow for crane slings to be inserted, and the machine can be lifted over a building, on top of a building, into wherever an application might demand. These machines, the way they are, and there is a picture to document in our brochure, can go in freight elevators, which is also a very, very big advantage when you're dealing with tight, confined buildings and spaces. This machine is also designed for an operator that's abusive, operator that deals with falling objects. I'm going to just open one of the outriggers to demonstrate that feature. The most exposed part of the machine on the ground will be its outrigger and the cylinder and exposed piston of the outrigger. This is protected with an extremely heavy shield that will protect it from falling objects within a reason, but also from a splatter from various application compounds such as paint, concrete, stucco. A buildup of these compounds on the piston might cause damage to the seals as the outrigger folds and the piston is retracted into the cylinder. So several factors are achieved by installing this extremely heavy outrigger shield. Other components, other sensitive components also have steel shielding. The battery, the internal combustion engine, valve block, the electric motor and the hydraulic tank, and also the relay box. A machine like that will consume between 2 and 3 gallons of fuel a day. The demonstration was performed at a very low power output from the engine, which is ample, but it can be revved up if the operation needs to be sped up. The operations of the machine are fully proportional because it uses live hydraulic valves. The more you push on the valve, the faster it will go. Look, I'm a wimpy sales guy. I don't know, 50 pounds. Yes, there is no wheeled model.
What's the availability of the hydraulics?
Instant. It can be pre-ordered or we can fit the machine in a stock. Instant. The additional cost is minimal, somewhere between $300 to $400 for the biodegradable oil. Just it is not compatible with conventional petroleum-based oil. So whoever acquires a machine with biodegradable oil, they have to be careful not to add any lost oil that is not of the same type. So that deters some of the end users, such as rental companies, from obtaining that oil. All right, so I'll take 2 minutes to pack this up. Thank you very much.